Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar, What You Should Know About Transitioning from Paper to an Enterprise QMS. This event, brought to you by Quality, is sponsored by ETQ. I'm your moderator, Daryl Sealand, Editorial Director of Quality. Thanks for joining us. Today's presenters are Glen Putnam, Global Head of Quality at NuSkin, and Glen Fraser, Director of Product Platform at ETQ. Don't forget to submit your questions, and later in the program, our presenters will address as many as possible. Today's event is being recorded and archived on qualitymag.com. And now I'm excited to turn it over to today's first presenter, Glen Fraser.
Thank you. For over 30 years, ETQ has enabled quality champions to be drivers of business success. Our founders were among the very first ISO 9001 auditors and quickly saw an opportunity to eliminate paper-based processes and automate with software. We have been in the software business ever since, and our QMS solution has been successfully implemented in a diverse range of industries. From manufacturing and heavy industry to life sciences, food and beverage, automotive, chemicals, electronics, and more. After our 2022 acquisition, we're backed by the strength of Hexagon, a global manufacturing technology firm that is a leader in sensor, software, and autonomous manufacturing solutions. Based on a benchmark study of ETQ customers, we know our technology helps quality professionals directly impact top and bottom lines in these 5 key areas. First, decision-making. With a central source of truth for quality data, customer AMD was able to save hundreds of staff hours per week analyzing data, and that yielded insights which helped many other areas of the company. The ability to improve efficiency is demonstrated by our customer Ecolab. By consolidating quality processes across 170 countries, they became more responsive to changing requirements and highlighting the operational benefits of an enterprise QMS. Third, trained technology highlights the ability to better manage suppliers. They dramatically reduce scrap, rework, and warranty costs, and also automated the recovery of these supplier-related costs through an integration between ETQ Reliance and their ERP. Next, everyone loves to save money. Customer Wabtec, which services freight and transit rail, experienced a truly impressive $30 million in annual savings for their cost of quality programs, including a 50% reduction in tooling costs. They estimate that they have had $10 to $12 million in productivity gains over the last decade. Finally, the ability to get quality products to market faster. Kimberly-Clark eliminated over 600 separate spreadsheets, systems, and homegrown solutions to improve their time to market efforts by 80%. As I hope these illustrate, there is a lot to be gained by keeping an emphasis and a focus on quality. And quality touches every aspect of the product lifecycle. A closed-loop quality system comprises feedback from across the entire organization. It starts with designing quality into the product from the very beginning, ensures on-time delivery of quality materials from suppliers, manages quality during manufacturing, and then handles customer feedback on finished goods. The technology we're discussing today makes it possible to transition from paper and spreadsheets to automating and harmonizing these complex, interdependent processes across all of your sites. And it's important to know that you won't have to do everything at once to recognize value. ETQ Reliance lets you get started wherever you need to and grow over time. Our customers have documented ROI savings at each of these phases. Many start with core quality applications such as doc control, audits, and corrective actions. They accelerate results and ROI by integrating with their enterprise systems. And then they expand over time the impact of their QMS to adjacent functions such as supply chain quality and safety. With ETQ Reliance, they transform their businesses and harmonize processes across all of their locations. And no matter where you are in your quality journey, ETQ Reliance can support your unique ways of doing business and not force you to adapt a predefined software solution. And now, I'll turn it over to Glen Putnam from NuSkin to describe their quality journey.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate this. I want to express my appreciation also to ETQ for this invitation. I'm confident my personal quality journey with ETQ has familiar elements that we all share. However, I'm equally confident that I can provide some unique notes as well. Again, by way of introduction, I am Glen Putnam, Global Head of Quality for NuSkin Enterprises. By way of introduction regarding my employer, NuSkin operates in the beauty and wellness consumer space with a history that spans about 40 years. Revenue is approximately $2 billion annually, and we target direct-to-consumer business platform through network, social, and other omni-selling channels. We operate in almost 50 countries globally, which means we are highly regulated. We offer approximately 4,000 SKUs as either cosmetics or over-the-counter pharmaceuticals, skincare products, hair, face, body. We also have a variety of foods and dietary supplements, as well as skincare medical devices that have been proven effective through clinical studies. For myself, I have worked as both an employee and private consultant for almost 47 years with specialization in quality and regulatory affairs. I started as a research associate working at 16 years of age for a medical device development company. I was really good at math, so I was able to do things that engineers couldn't do in the same time frame, so got started rather young. My career has really focused on all things FDA. Includes everything from sterile injectable drugs down to pharmaceutical canned foods. Academically, I'm a microbiologist with a advanced degree in business, and the combination has helped me actually have a unique perspective within quality. Because of my quality journey, I think that I can offer that perspective. This, in 1977, was a cell phone. It was not digital, it was analytical, and obviously it doesn't fit in your back pocket like most convenient phones do today. In 1977, there was no electronic platform for any quality management system. It was all paper-based. Paper-based without the technology behind it was really laborious in data mining and looking for those opportunities to improve and save. Although I've seen and used various electronic QMS platforms, ETQ was merely a name I recognized as one mentioned in a convention or conversation around 2014. My first formal introduction came in January of 2018 as I was transitioning into my current position. The presentation, however, though, was all about document management. At the conclusion of the presentation, my first impression started as, However, after a sincere mental exercise of about 10 seconds, it was not, or at that point, I wasn't in favor of ETQ at all. It just seemed like it was a limited platform, and if all I could do was document management, it wasn't what we needed. So at the time, I was led to believe that that's all we had. So why would NuSkin want to buy this? I was really wondering how I could get rid of it and actually look for something else. In 2019, as the pandemic was just in its initial stages, I began to work towards justification and an ROI on a different system and move away from ETQ. However, with the persistence and gentle persuasion of my business analyst and other department staff members, I took a second look. And I have to admit that being a quality person, obviously we're looking for objective evidence, and that's what I was looking for. But on a deeper dive, I began to find that maybe this was the objective evidence I needed. So what did I learn? Well, I learned ETQ offered more than just document management. That was the first thing. We had access to over 40 modules with our license at that time. Obviously, a lot more than what was presented in the original instructions. Yet as an organization, NuSkin had only processed to a small handful of those modules. In 5 years, the system wasn't used. Out of 40, we had just a handful. Later, I was introduced to our ETQ representative at the time. His name was Nick Schur. And he helped us understand with great consultants the opportunities that were there. I used back channels to learn other people that were using the system to find out how they enjoyed it, became more aware of its capabilities, and ostensibly the objective evidence was before me. I in fact had the answer I needed. So I faced a new dilemma. How do I convince management to give me dollars to do the upgrade so that we can actually utilize more of the capabilities? So what do we do with this new discovery potential? Well, I believe in a software solution that works with your business, not one that dictates how you run your business. Echoing what Glen said previously, there are far more software solutions and platforms dictating a business practice versus truly meeting a customer needs. As noted by Deming and Giron, quality is driven to meet customer needs. Although many QMS systems claim to meet best practices, flexibility and adaptability were key elements. Best practice for automotive and medical devices are not the same. We have to be flexible and adaptable to those for your environment. I cannot be limited by someone's perception of best practice. I needed a better solution. So I witnessed this evolution over 4 decades and have seen limitations in other offerings. With ETQ, I saw an incredible potential and opportunity for us, and we moved forward. We began by customizing existing modules to meet internal needs. If the out-of-box solution lacked for our business, we went ahead and made changes to that module for us. For example, when we were examining rebranding a module called permitting for global product registration, it has many embedded features that are currently used for a different purpose conceived by ETQ, but we're saying, look, those same things help us, so we want to rebrand it. With a little work and customization, it will serve as a greater purpose for our needs outside of what was conceived by ETQ. We've also added special coding to overlay on top of modules for ease of work. For example, we have a logic code for standard operating procedure ID. Because we're global, we needed a better way of saying this procedure was for Indonesia versus this was for Canada. This existing overlay basically looks on top of the existing module and allows us to have a smart logic function for just document management. We added custom proportional ratio. It's known as PRR. It's used in Europe as a way of a learning tool in the pharmaceutical industry to help with customer complaints, looking for trends and adverse events during triage. We also created new modules when there was no out-of-the-box solution. We have modules that haven't even been conceptualized by ETQ at this time, but fit our business requirements. These newly created modules are then linked back to existing ones from ETQ to feed into the quality data lake. Remember, I said flexibility and adaptability. This is the greatest benefit of ETQ's system over other QMS platforms. For example, we created a module to track packaging data. Can you imagine 4,000 SKUs and we didn't have a centralized repository of information and data? This was more than just component specification. Our module tracked product compatibility, environmental degradation, and other purposes among criteria necessary for our product. We created a product development dossier to help quality by design up front that houses R&D formulas, bench work, pilots, batches, testing, phase authorization to move products forward with a centralized database. We created a standard library, modules to archive regulatory standards and methods from IHC, PICS, EU, ANSI, ISO, ETQ, there's so many. We're currently working on wireframing projects for our stability registry, product registration, market claims, etc. The list is very long, and I will admit it's very ambitious. We also finally were able to add the quality data lake to other major company data lakes to enhance data mining and data-driven decisions. Again, echoing something that Glen had mentioned earlier. We continue to expand this feature to move more quality data lake information over into the corporate lake. NuSkin has incorporated a level of artificial intelligence with certain areas. The results allow us more informative dashboards, forecasting, and predictive trends. One such result is a powerful BI report that provides global understanding of the state of quality right now, one that we created. This is an example of a Power BI that illustrates to me and to my team how ETQ and sharing data lakes can graphically give us information. We receive almost 700 to 800 customer complaints daily because we sell well over 2 million products on a daily basis. But I wanted to know whether or not the customers are truly happy and where our product failings were. As you can see from this Power BI, it breaks it down into meaningful and a manageable way. I know that our beauty and wellness devices did not measure up to our standard. We have a gap that we have to fill. Otherwise, our customers are extremely happy with the result of the product that we produce and offer. in reality, if I could just sum it up, why ETQ? Because it's a valid question. I get it asked quite a lot from others. From the perspective of a guy going on 5 decades working in a heavily regulated quality environment, I finally found, believe it or not, after 5 decades, I finally found what I believe is the perfect solution. Better late than never. The out-of-the-box solution and modules provided within ETQ is a great starting point for any QMS. Many modules are open and allow you to define internal requirement parameters. You can create and make changes that fit your needs. You're not locked into a round hole when you're a square peg. ETQ has solutions outside of quality such as safety, environmental. These are other dimensions that we're exploring and using to, again, feed our data lake with more information within our corporate realm. The only real limitation is your own imagination. We have yet to find a limit we couldn't overcome within ETQ. Our achievements could not be possible without support of ETQ, and our success is based on the great team members they have and consultants that have contributed in so many ways. We are so grateful for the ETQ community at large that has also offered recommendations and solutions to our queries. To everybody, we're grateful and appreciate the support. This is a platform that we are standing on. Thank you. At this point, I'll just turn it over to Daryl.
Thank you so much, Glenn. And as promised, we are going to take some time to answer any questions that have come in throughout the presentation. So if you have a question for either of the Glens, I would encourage you to get that into the Q&A chat. Also want to remind everyone that we'd love your feedback for our webinar survey to help improve our programs. So our first question for Glen Putnam, with 47 years in quality and regulatory, if you could sum it up, what are the top things you have learned, and what would you tell your year one self?
Wow, that's a really great question. Year one, I knew nothing, but I had a great mentor. He was a quality engineer that was raised by his father, who was an engineer for Mercedes. And so all of his examples were about Mercedes compared to Ford, Ford not being the good example, Mercedes being the great example. But I learned really that the Sherwood cycle, that Deming, that Geron, these quality principles that we talk about and sometimes try and implement actually do work. The PDCA cycle, the short cycle that Deming propagated, we all know it. And we all say, hey, the most important thing we can do is have continuous improvement, so we need to have this CAPA process. Well, if I could go back and say, yeah, that's true, but it's not entirely true, I would rephrase it and say the most important aspect of any QMS is actually change management. Because any CAPA that you decide to pursue, any improvement, requires you to change something. And if you don't manage that change, the success of your actual continuous improvement is limited. What is the impact if we're going to make this change, to make this improvement? What are the impacts on training, equipment, existing procedures of policy? I wish I knew that earlier, because now it gives me a perspective of I want to make the improvement, but what I'm really saying is I need to make a change. And how do I effectuate a change without introducing more risk or some downside that is unforeseen? Great question, though.
Indeed. Our next question is for Glen Fraser. Michelle asks, is there anything that could help with material lot traceability?
Material lot traceability. We do have supplier material modules applications, and these can be configured. We do have customers who have integrated to track lots and even manage their release process from that shelf. So not purely out of box, but as was discussed earlier, we've got a building block to configure to your unique needs. Everybody does things slightly differently. We do have trained consultants that can assist gathering your requirements if you have not already done so, and then configuring a solution, including helping integrate with other tools that you're already working with, such as an ERP.
If I could add on to what Glenn is saying, we have lot traceability. We need it. So we're using the inspection module, we use the supplier module, and we actually created a certificate of analysis module, each of which are tied together, but they do rely on a batch code or receiving a lot number, some sort of numeration system that says this is our material now. It came from so-and-so, and it's been used and propagated outward into, we build kits and things of that nature. So I can trace every component, every item through ETQ in our system.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. Our next question is for Glen Putnam, comes from Liz. Can you speak to some of the specific benefits you've realized with ETQ Reliance? For example, time saved or more efficiency?
The efficiency and time save is a natural output in our estimation. I don't want to say that we've had headcount reduction because of the efficiency. We've just been able to repurpose people, because what they were doing originally based on paper, triaging complaints and returns and traceability on batch records, things of that nature. Now that we're housing it in, it's like, I don't need that person for that particular detail, because now we're more efficient with one person just entering data into a system. We can mine it now. So now we get to repurpose them for other things. So it has, in that, from a resource management standpoint of just the human element, made us more efficient, where it doesn't require the same head count as it did before. Now we repurpose that head count for other business needs. Dollar-wise, I can tell you from a dollar standpoint that just the returns alone, because of who we are, we have a very open return policy. If you don't like the product or you want your money back, there's a return policy. It used to cost about $8.50 just to make the initial phone call into a customer care person, and then the product would come back, and then we'd have to process it to credit your credit card. That used to take anywhere between 10 days to 14 days, and you may see that call come back multiple times saying, "Where's my credit? Where's my credit? Where's my credit?" Well, we use ETQ to help speed that up to where all returns now are processed within 24 to 48 hours. Imagine, when we did the analysis, that alone saved us $265,000 in just customer care calls. That's an enormous amount of money that we are able to feed back into business, and it's ETQ that allowed us to find a solution to speed up the system.
Terrific. Next question is for both of you. Actually, technically comes from a Glen, so we now have 3 Glens on scene. But Glenroy asks, how do you harmonize quality with your health and safety and environmental management system standards?
Glen P., would you like to start, or shall I?
I can start. I mean, we're just looking at it. It wasn't the original concept, or it wasn't what we originally looked at when we looked at just the eQMS platform. And I think Glen will tell you there are other platforms within, and we're just now looking at them. We've been looking at safety and the modules that are available in that area. We're also looking at, from a sustainability standpoint, is there something, do we need to create something? Again, it's flexible. If they don't have it, just make it yourself and put it in there so you can link it together. So those are aspects that I don't have my hand around 100%. They're ones that we started investigating last year and becoming more acquainted with them and trying to make decisions, how to use them. If the out-of-the-box solution is what we're looking for, if there's something we want to do beyond out of the box, those are considerations that we have. But the capability is there.
Perfect. Right. And I would add that no matter what you're trying to work with, there's going to be some similarities. The correct way to do something, whether it's to produce a quality good or do it safely or do it responsibly, that needs to be documented. Users always need access to current documentation no matter what they're doing. And again, they won't be separating out environmental from quality and safety while they're doing their job. They're just doing their job. So having one source to tie everything together is, number one, a good starting point. Those documents will inevitably need change. Those documents and the processes that people are following will need to be audited against. And of course, when we do audits, we'll find that we need corrections and adjustments. So all of this is basically the same process. The cycle that was mentioned earlier, the PDCA, you plan, do, check, and act. It fits everything. And in our opinion, there's no real separation between doing a job safely, doing it correctly, and doing it responsibly. It all flows together.
If I could add one more thing too as well, we actually took the internal audit module that's offered by ETQ and we modified it. I now can do a safety audit. I can now do a sustainability audit. I can now do an environmental audit. We expanded what was originally and initially conceived as part of quality, and now we have it for multiple purposes because, to Glen's point, it's documented. We have evidence. We have something, and that can then go forward with the same quality event or CAPA system that you may be utilizing and say, look, we found a flaw in our sustainability. Let's make an improvement. The same PDA cycle works with all of these things.
Great. Our next question comes from, I believe Cornell. Apologize if I'm murdering that. But this question is for Glen Putnam. Do you integrate AI, parentheses RPA, within your QMS system and ETQ?
At this point, we aren't. That's what the data lake is for. So the AI that we're currently using is outside of ETQ. It's in our data lake. So we combine our quality information with corporate information coming out of Salesforce and SAP and other data generating things to help us look for improvements in processes and in quality. Haven't quite integrated the other direction. We've left it outside just so that we can continue to work with the improvements we're looking for within ETQ.
Excellent. And this seems like a good question to sort of wrap up with. But Liz, this question's for you, Glen Putnam. Liz asks, what's next in NuSkin's quality journey?
Well, I think I said we have a very lengthy and aggressive list of things that we're trying to do. We just had a meeting the other day about our deviation process. And we just conceptualized, if we had another module that did this portion, it would feed into other systems for us in the data lake. And so, as we sit and analyze and look for improvements, we're constantly looking at where ETQ becomes the solution. It's our first look. And we want to look to the other platforms that's used by the corporation because they're not flexible. ETQ is flexible, and we can say, look, this doesn't exist. We're looking to actually create a formulary where if we wanted to create a product, it has all of our suppliers in it. It has all the ingredients we're using. What it lacks is the regulatory side of it. How much of a dose can you do in Indonesia versus Canada, for example? And if we added that, then a formulator could sit down saying, here's a new product concept. Here's a global formula that fits everywhere. I don't have to pay consultants. I don't have to pay regulatory experts to say, that's just not going to work. All this would work within ETQ because we feed the system and the system gives us the right correct information as an output. So to me, we're constantly looking to find ways in which we can exploit, if you will, ETQ for a variety of different platforms.
That's great. And that is just about all the time we have for questions today. So please join me in thanking Glen Putnam and Glen Fraser for their presentation, as well as our sponsor, ETQ. If you have any additional questions or comments, please don't hesitate to click the Email Us button on the console. Please visit qualitymag.com/webinars for the archive of this presentation, as well as information about our upcoming events. We appreciate your time and hope you found this webinar to be a valuable experience. Have a great day.